And so at the time of Charlie McAvoy's goal, now the Bruins have been the better team for, you know, 27 plus minutes. And now they're starting to feel, okay, that's the one we needed. And the Bruins would have gotten the power play. Now, the power play is something I wanted to talk about here, too, because they made some personnel changes on the Bruins power play. The Bruins' top power play unit against Columbus featured Charlie McAvoy, David Pastrnak, and then the Bruins' second line of Pavel Zacha, who's always on that top unit, and then Victor Arvidsson and Casey Middlestad. So Arvidsson and Middlestad essentially replaced Geekie and Elias Lindholm on that top unit. And I had Court Lalonde of Bruins Diehards on recently, and we were talking about the Bruins power play struggles. And Court had mentioned that he would like to see Victor Arvidsson on the Bruins top power play. And I agreed with him. And I also said that I wouldn't mind seeing Casey Middlestad on the Bruins top power play either, because that second line has just been so good together. You can get them together with Zacha, and Elias Lindholm and Morgan Geekie just haven't been doing the job on the power play. Elias Lindholm has not been good enough. Honestly, like winning some key draws to start power plays. He hasn't been good enough in the bumper. He hasn't been good enough in transition with Zacha in their zone entries. And then Geekie, he's not the fleetest of foot. And so when his shots aren't going in, what's he really, doing? So I really enjoyed seeing the Bruins change up the personnel there, not because I want the Bruins to punish Geekie or Lindholm, but because I really think that Victor Arvidsson and Casey Middlestad have been hounds on pucks. Their puck retrievals at 5-on-5 and their forechecking and their willingness to go to the dirty areas and play well together. I've loved it at 5-on-5, and I don't see why it wouldn't translate to the power play. And it did. The Bruins had a power play in the first period, and they didn't score on it, but their zone entries and their puck retrievals were much better. And I liked the look of that new power play unit in the first period. But then in the third period, again, they get a power play opportunity. They're down 3-1, and Zacha's on a strong side, left circle face off, and it's a battle. It's a 50-50 puck battle. And the Bruins, as I've mentioned before, face-offs are not just center versus center. It's center and wingers and D versus centers and wingers and D, especially when you have a 50-50 puck up for grabs. And Pastrnak, Zacha, Arvidsson were like hounds on that face-off. And I just don't know. I just don't know if you win that puck battle, if it's Lindholm and Geekie and Pastrnak. I don't know. You know why I don't know? I haven't seen it enough with those guys as the power play unit lately to say that they would. But Victor Arvidsson, that guy just finds a way. He's an absolute water bug, an absolute battler, and he finds a way to find a loose puck and just banks it off the boards to McAvoy at the point. And tip of the cap to Charlie McAvoy. Just a quick shot. So many times in the past with McAvoy on the power play, he just holds on to it at the top of the umbrella, holds on to it, plays pass with Pastrnak, and they just don't get the shots off. And the knock on McAvoy has always been on the power play. You got to get your shots off early and often and get them through. He did not waste any time here. He gets the puck off the boards and it's off of his stick. And he's not shooting the score here either. He's shooting for a tip for Zacha in the slot. And Zacha absolutely executes it to perfection. Like I said, it's so important to note here. Charlie did not think that shot was going in without the tip. He was shooting for a stick. It was purposeful. And Zacha with a very finesse tip from the slot, 3-2 Bruins, 5-6 seconds into the power play. Now it's 3-2 with like 11 minutes to go and change. So you just kind of felt like the way the Bruins were playing throughout the whole second period and now into the third period, now it's 3-2 with over 10 minutes to go. You just kind of felt like the Bruins were going to find a way to tie it. And it took them longer than maybe not expected, but it took them right down to the wire. They do get a power play with the goalie pulled. And again, I just loved the Bruins' second, third efforts on loose pucks with the goalie pulled. Their desperation level was through the roof. That's how you have to play. Even when you have an extra attacker or two. when you have a power play, generally speaking, any team, if you have the extra guy on the ice, the puck's not just going to go in because you have an extra guy. You're not just going to win a race to a loose puck because you have to put the effort in. You have to make it worthwhile. Make having the extra guy worthwhile, but having the extra guy doesn't mean a whole lot if you aren't willing to put in the effort. And the Bruins' desperation level was outstanding. Outstanding. Even when they were down 3-0 in the second and in the first half of the third. But certainly when the game was on the line. And for the Bruins to pull back to even because Pavel Zacha would tie the game off of a loose puck against second efforts. Like Pasternak is beneath the goal line battling Eric Gudbranson, who's a big boy. And he finds a way to get the puck into the slot. And then Charlie Coyle has the puck on his stick, but it's Victor Arvidsson getting his stick in there to knock it off Coyle's stick. Extra effort. And then Pavel Zacha with two guys on him in the slot just doesn't mess around with it, just gets it on net. Quick shot. And it's in the back of the net, 3-3. And the Bruins fans in Columbus, which there were many of them, it looked like the lower bowl at TD Garden. And the Bruins bench go crazy with joy and jubilation, and with good reason, because this is a 4-point swing, right? Like Columbus is on the verge. They're 11 seconds away from beating the Bruins in regulation and having a big 4-point swing between two teams that are battling for playoff spots. The Bruins were wild card 1, Columbus wild card 2 entering action. And the Bruins with that goal at the very least find a way, assuming Columbus didn't score in the last 10 seconds, to force that game to overtime and salvage at least one massive point. And the Bruins do one better, and they win in the shootout. And as I mentioned, the Bruins were the far better team in the second, third, and overtime. The Bruins outshot Columbus 12-5 in the second, 12-5 in the third, and 6-2 in overtime. So the Bruins outshot them 38-24 over the course of the game. And the Bruins power play goes 2 for 4. So I think the Bruins have found something now with this new look top unit. And I think a lot of it has to do with their ability to hump pucks and retrieve them. And, Victor Arvidsson and Middlestad are also pretty good in zone entries too. There's a little bit more speed there with those guys versus Elias Lindholm and Morgan Geekie, who, by the way, were on the ice when the Bruins tied the game as part of the extra attacker power play situation because it was a 6-on-4. And then, Elias Lindholm and Morgan Geekie are on the second power play unit. Mason Lohrei was not in action against Columbus. He ordinarily probably would have been on that second unit as well, along with Minton and Geekie and Elias Lindholm and maybe was it Husnudinov maybe? So looking good. Power play is looking better. Steps forward.